Somebody wants me to talk about um, the efficiency of protesting. Well, I'm trying to turn this thing off. It's just playing this music over and over again. This other phone's not working. So, what is, if you're protesting something, um, well, is it better for me to go and join a big group of people and have a sit-in? Do you know what a sit-in? Sit-ins were um, maybe the 1970s way of protesting. If there was an oil company you didn't like, then you would go to the oil company's head office and you would go and sit in their waiting room or something. That was called a sit-in. But some people, they like to protest out in the woods somewhere. And, well, how effective is it? Generally speaking, what if you get the media covering you? Is it going to work for you? No, it's not going to work for you. Why? Well, I don't know why, particularly in one line, but just looking at people protesting, how far show me someone who protested and it really changed the whole thing. It doesn't work. Why doesn't it work? Unfortunately, I'm going to have to give you the metaphysical reason why it doesn't work. The 3D Earth version of why it doesn't work is okay, let's think back to 1969. 1969, the summer of love in the United States. And what else was going on? There was a lot of protests against the Vietnam War. So when thousands and thousands of people would show up at a protest, well, did it make the Vietnam War go away? No. No, it didn't go away. The protesters would protest, and the military kept doing the Vietnam War. Did it eventually result in some changes by protesting? Well, I mean, eventually the Vietnam War ended. Did the protesters have that effect? Or was it other reasons why the Vietnam War had to stop? Like, okay, well, the economy. 1973, President Richard Nixon took the USA off the gold standard. In other words, before that time, you could trade in $35 and get an ounce of gold. $35 to the ounce. And after they removed that, and the US currency was not backed by gold anymore, somebody says it became more of a petrodollar because you can buy a lot of oil in those days. Well, the whole point of it was Richard Nixon took the gold away because he was having an economic problem paying for the war in Vietnam. So did the protesters have something going on? Um, well, the protesters weren't going to vote for Richard Nixon anyway, so he didn't give a rat's ass about them. All he needed were enough conservative people to vote for him to become president, and that's all he cared about. And he didn't give a rat's ass about any of the protesters. So, that's the 3D version of why protesting doesn't work. Metaphysically, what happens when you protest? Well, Instead of saying, let's get involved with metaphysics, let's just talk about it. If you are protesting something, you are putting a lot of energy into the thing that you are protesting. You're putting your heart and soul into a disturbance. So what happens? Evil happens because you're not putting your energy into the solution. You're putting the energy into the problem, which is making the problem bigger. The unicorn. If you were looking at unicorns, what do you like to do with unicorns? You go, if you're a little 3-year-old, you're going to go, oh, and you're going to put your hands up and you're going, oh, look at that. I can't believe a unicorn. So, what is happening there? Well, you're so excited about what you've seen, the unicorn. It's a very excited, wonderful feeling that you're getting from the unicorn. Whereas with the protest, well, you might go into depression, you might go into anger, you might go into sorrow. Unless you're Mahatma Gandhi, you're pretty much going to go down the toilet as far as your vibration goes. Pushing and shoving. It's not helping your cause. So instead of protesting some corporation doing something to the woods, perhaps you would be better off to generate a lot of excitement about the woods in their natural condition, so that you get little children going out into the woods looking at the trees and everything and going, wow. If you're a protester, you're saying, yeah, but everybody knows all about the woods are wonderful to go for a walk in, but we've got corporations that are coming in and they're going to disrupt the woods. So we got to go there and we got to, protest. There's a difference. Your energy is against something instead of being for something. Well, I'm for, clean woods. No, you are standing someplace where the corporation is doing whatever it's doing and you were going against it. So your energy is going against something. It's better to flow if you are for something instead of against something. Why? Because you're all going in the same direction towards something, supporting something. But if you're going anti, then you're going up against the energy of the opposing force. Mexican standoff. No one is going to listen to me in the protesters' camp because they're going to keep saying, I'm for the woods being the way they are. It's a very difficult point to get across to people. It's a very difficult point. Why? They don't want to listen. It's easier to keep protesting the way you've already done than it is to examine it. But I'm in the right. I'm in the right. That's what they're going to say. I'm in the right. And so I have to be here. I have to be here protesting because I'm in the right. Energy flows where your attention goes. So that's an old shamanic teaching. If you're putting your energy on protesting something else, then you are not for something, you're against something. I just said it again. So, effective protesting is to go and find something that you're for. We're for what are we for? I just went to silence. We're for silence. And you can do your for silence wherever you are. You don't even have to go out to the forest to make your big stand. You're going to have a meditation for silence. I don't even need to say it's for Mother Earth or for the trees or whatever. Just silent meditation. Why? Because it's way more powerful to do silent meditation than it is to do a bunch of banging of pots and pans way out in the bush somewhere. And somebody wants to remind everyone that in order to get out into the bush to protest, you're going to be using gasoline-powered cars, which means when you're against a oil pipeline, but you're for using gasoline to go out into the bush somewhere and have a protest. People always hate it when I bring that up. But protesters are not metaphysically trained. Protesters are usually, if some kid is 16 years old, they're like, oh, the world's going to hell and I got to go and do something about it. Most 16-year-olds really haven't had enough time on earth to really, really understand. Now, maybe it's true that the elite are suppressing technology so we could get rid of gas-powered cars. But the evidence is flimsy. So, if you have to use gasoline, then you have to use gasoline. And if you're using gas to go up to your protest site in a car, in a bus, or you hitched a ride, and then you're protesting the pipeline, well, if gas is good enough for you, but you're saying whoever was going to get all the oil delivered by this pipeline, sorry, then you're a hypocrite. What makes you a more important human being than the ones who were going to benefit from the oil that was flowing through the oil pipeline? Because somewhere, somehow, somebody's going to be using that petroleum product for something that they think they need. So if you go into silent meditation, what happens? We get involved with genuine help. What help is that? Superconsciousness. What's superconsciousness? It's smarter than human consciousness. It's super consciousness. That's how you do it, and that's how you really do an effective protest.